you want to have those people in your life that are going to help coach you, that are going to help you, guide you, and direct you, so that way you know how to go, because the people who have the experience, you're going to be able to learn from them.
A podcast hosted by Jody Tree. Joe on the mic, Leader Talk, tackles various leadership strategies that cover self-development, self-leadership, including spiritual and physical health of leaders. This podcast will feature guests ranging from military leaders, thought leaders, health and nutrition leaders, spiritual leaders, nonprofit leaders, and many more. All right, guys, we are back, and we have a special guest today. Her name is Irina Curenton. She is a devoted wife to her husband of over 15 years, a lovingly authoritative mother of 6 boys. That's real good. 6 boys, including a set of twins, a committed daughter, sister, and friend. She is a purposeful educator, coach, and visionary who is passionate about intentionally bridging the gap in faith and family, imparting life, inspiring vision, and instilling character in young people, educating to transform lives. She is living, loving, learning daily to empower others to heal from the inside out, develop their voice, and walk in their destiny. Irina, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. And your little boy is with us. Nobody can see him, but he's with us. But hey, let us know, what do you do, and how long have you been in business as an entrepreneur?
Okay, well, thank you so much, Joe. And thank you for welcoming me on to your podcast. I appreciate it very much. And it's a great opportunity to be here. I'm very honored, first of all. So thank you for having me as a guest today. What I do is I am for the last 13 years, I have run my home daycare center. I guess I have to share a little story. So to go with that. So I was working many years ago, I was working with the at-risk youth at a group home facility. And there I had been working there for about 6 years or so. And so then one day I was just like, I started getting kind of frustrated, and I'm like, these kids aren't really listening. They don't really want my, what I have to offer right now. They're it just became clear to me that, maybe I can make a bigger difference and a bigger impact if I go down to the younger kids. And so it just, working with so I just really got this burning desire in my heart that I wanted to work with and mentor children in their development of their interpersonal skills and, just their character. And so the Shining Stars Learning and Development Center was born in 2009. So I've done that ever since, and it's kind of organically grown to include parent coaching and youth leadership development. And what we do is we focus on skill building and things. So I also do empower Christian families to heal from the inside out and develop their voice, and really to walk in wholeness through Hope Reconnect. And that Hope Reconnect was born, it was inspired by God. It was to reclaim ourselves, to reconnect our families, and to rebuild the community one heart at a time. And so that program was actually founded in last year. So I'm very grateful for that, and grateful to be here.
Oh, awesome. And I love that he's really with us right now, engaged.
Yes, you may hear him in the background.
Oh, that's awesome. But you wanted, I brought you on today because we were talking earlier about having courageous leadership. And can you tell our audience what courageous leadership is for you?
Okay, so courageous leadership it's about walking out your leadership in a way that is fearless, which is more about who you are than what you do. It's, being full of life, good energy, passion, like believing in yourself, but also having a strong faith that, and just really being a bold trendsetter who goes against the grain to do something that different and better, because they have a strong purpose and a strong mission.
Yeah. So we're dealing with leaders, and I know we're talking about the youth. So how would you say is a good tip for the youth of today to actually get that good value and direction?
I would say it all has to start with knowing who you are and whose you are. I just believe that that is so important that we're not walking around aimlessly. When I was a teenager, I didn't really know what my purpose was. I was still discovering that, and I didn't really have a plan for my life. And I just believe that having a plan and having a vision is so important. And so to me, vision is about, Dr. Miles Monroe talks a lot about vision. I started thinking about what is vision to me. And so vision is inspirationally seeing with heart and intentionally overcoming the noise.
Wow. Wow. And I know that's a hard thing to do nowadays, especially with social media and what's
Mhm.
going on TV and the distractions, even video games. So, would you be able to give some tips for, I guess, our younger folks? Like, what are
Mhm.
some of the things that they could do to help them quiet the noise so they can see that vision?
Okay. So to see the vision, I believe that it's important to spend time with yourself, to take some time to have some quiet time, maybe in the morning time before you get up for school. And, instead of what I tell my kids all the time is like, start your day with, quiet and prayer and, maybe reading God's word. I'm a believer. So I tell my kids, read God's word and pray. Start your day with prayer and don't just jump into your day, because I know when I jump into my day feels scattered. Like if I don't take a moment to sit and actually breathe and, focus on what I can do to, you know, to kind of center my mind and center my whole being, then grounding myself, then I feel kind of scattered in every which way, and it just doesn't seem to be going very well. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is actually having a plan and creating, like if you have a planner or create some kind of spreadsheet or something written down, and actually write out your objectives for the next day. So starting the night before and just really getting in a sense of getting clear, everything out and starting there, just write it all down. As far as vision goes, that's just to kind of get clear. Once you get clear and you actually start to see, what are the things that you actually want to do with your life, and how are you going to get there. So there's this class that I actually have. It's called Dream Big, and I can tell you more about that if you're interested. But one of the things that we cover in that class is your locus of control. And there's something called, basically the locus of control is all about, taking ownership of your life and not allowing everything to bother you, but basically saying that, I determine my future. I can make things happen. I can, instead of things happening to you, and why bother, and why does everything happen to me. So it's, kind of shifting your focus and your perspective, to have that sense of, I can do something with my life. And once you get clear on, all of that, like who you are, whose you are, and that you have some level of control over your life, you can start thinking about what is my vision? What are the things, like what is it that actually makes me tick? What is it that actually brings me joy? And start asking yourself those questions, like, you know, how what if, basically at the end of my life, what will I have wanted to accomplish?
Mm.
So those are a couple of questions that you can ask yourself to get clear on your vision. And it's usually something that you're passionate about, and also looking at the needs of the world. Like what problem can you solve in this world today? So those are just a couple of tips. I have more, but
Oh, no, that's fine. And I know like today's youth, that there's so many things that they're like drawn to. Because I know when I was a youth, I've always looked at, oh, well, that guy, he's making millions of dollars. He has this, he has that, he has that talent. But what about me? What about
right.
me? And I totally agree about having vision, about writing it down,
Yes,
and also having that still small voice of God in you. But like we were saying earlier in the green room, that sometimes we just need to quiet the noise in our head and listen to that still small voice. Be still and know that He is Lord and Lord over our lives. Because if we're running around on social media, picking up that phone, like you said early in the morning, picking up the phone first and looking at social media, you're gonna start off the day wrong.
right, right.
And I love that you said it. Yeah, because faith without works is dead. And meaning we got to step into our day. And this is my interpretation. When we step into our day, stepping into that day with faith
Yes,
in God and say, God,
yes,
this is your day. This is the day, like we like to say, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Centering ourselves, like you were saying earlier, finding that point of reference and then starting the day from there. But you mentioned that you have a course. Can you tell us a little bit more about that course?
sure. So my course is basically it's called again Dream Big, and let's dream big, and it inspires young people, school agers, to actually start getting clear on their vision, getting clear on their why, and really starting to build that dream. So there's an acronym for dream, and there's also an acronym for build. And so I think uh, putting the vision into action is really what it's all about. And it's, you can dream all day long. You can have a vision, an idea in your mind all day long, but what if it never comes to pass? And if
Mhm.
it doesn't come forth, then who is going to miss out on that? Everybody. So what can you imagine, like, if Nike shoes never got invented? You know, can you imagine if, like, the cell phone never got invented?
Mhm.
Some people might be happy about that, but or
Yeah.
technology, somebody that was started with an idea that somebody had, and they played around with it, they tinkered through it, and they used the scientific method to get it started and up and moving. And so we actually use the scientific method to actually start creating whatever this dream is of
Mhm.
that the children have. And we do it in a group fashion. And so, it's like everybody has a part, everybody gets to, belong to something that is actually doing something with their life. And they learn leadership in the process. And I believe that that's so important. Like, in the midst of crisis and chaos, there's something, you've got to have something bigger than yourself to actually, you know, have your hope be, kind of have your hope alive. And so, this program I created, I believe God led me to create this program, really inspire the youth to just start putting, just start putting something out there and really start going after their dream, and start creating that vision and making it happen. So in this course, we delve a lot into leadership and what it takes to be a courageous leader, what it takes to be, I believe that courageous leaders are fearless. That is not to say that they don't have any fear, because we all
Yeah.
do, but it's a matter of pushing past. There's some, Joyce Myers always talks about, do it afraid. And when I heard that the first time, I'm like, because I'm like, I'm afraid. And when I heard her say, do it afraid, I'm like, yeah, do it afraid. Like, okay, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to just keep pressing past. And you're going to come up against certain things in your life that are going to, you're going to be afraid, and it's going to be bigger than you, but your dream is bigger than you, and it's going to require more people. And so this introduces young people to other people who can help them to further their vision, and just create their, whatever their heart desires. And it's not so much, it's not so much, anything. It's really the purposeful dream that you were given at birth. And so, as a believer, I believe that we all were put on this earth for a purpose and a reason. And not everybody gets to achieve that. But if they're in, like Dr. Miles Monroe talks about, if you're planted in the right environment, like a seed is a seed, and carries within itself all of the things that it needs to create, to harvest whatever the fruit is inside of that seed. And or whatever the tree, if it's a pear tree, it's all in there. And so it's all in those young people. It's a matter of them getting nurtured in the proper way and them getting trained in the proper way so they can actually produce that, whatever that seed is. And so that's what this course is all about, is helping them to produce what's inside of them and to get to a place where they're actually leading. And, by the time that they get to be 18 or whatever, wherever they're going with their life, they can then take that concept and build upon it.
All right, folks, time for a sponsor break. Hey guys, real quick, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain real quick. It's free. Did you hear what I said? It's free to make your podcast. They have creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast. They also have free music that you can use. Not to mention, they will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts for you. All right. And you can also make money from the podcast with minimum listenership. Okay. They have everything that you need. Look, download the app, Anchor, like the anchor on a boat. And the website is anchor.fm. Anchor.fm. Get it. What are you waiting for? Start your podcast now. Do it. Anchor.fm or download it on the app. Talk to you later, guys. All right, back to our episode. Oh, that's so awesome. And the question came to my mind, and I know because this happened to me personally when I was younger, and because since we're talking about dreams and leadership, the question is going to come up, and I know it's going to come up. Well, I had a dream when I was younger, but so and so said this to me, and I lost that dream. What can you say to that person that said, I lost that dream, but I don't know how to get it back?
I totally understand how that feels. Like I get it. There's people in your life who are going to say things that are going to discourage you. And I had several people in my life that discouraged me from excuse me, my baby is like pulling me close and grabbing my face right now.
So many hugs.
But trying to give me hugs and stuff. But there's going to be people in your life who are going to try to discourage you, because I believe as a believer, we believe in that there's an enemy of our soul. And that enemy of our soul is going to use people to try to distract you from your purpose, try to distract you from your vision, your dream, and is going to try to keep you from getting it fulfilled, because he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he wants to destroy what's inside of you. He wants to make it to where it never comes to fruition. I believe that no weapon is formed against us that will prosper. There are weapons that are formed against us, but they will not prosper. What I would say to those who are going in that space right now, where they're losing hope and they're, feeling discouraged and just kind of lost that vision and that dream, is that, it just takes a little spark, just one tiny spark to get it going. And so what I would recommend is you get around somebody who has a dream, who has a vision, who can re-inspire that. Actually, can I give you the DREAM acronym? Is that okay?
No, that's fine. No, bring it.
Okay, because that's like 5 practical things that you can do to start developing and getting to know yourself. And so the dream, if you take the every letter in that word, so the D stands for discover daily. So you want to nurture your curiosity and seek truth. So the R stands for read. to learn. And I know we read, things to, for entertainment purposes, but start reading to learn, and start researching and expanding your knowledge base. And, start reading those personal development books like John Maxwell, and, listening to also just listening to speakers like Dr. Miles Monroe, and podcasts like this. And the E stands for exercising. So exercising effectively. And that is not just our body, but that is our mind, our body, our soul, and then our spirit connection. Exercising all of that and making sure that we're basically firing like a car on all pistons. The A is for assess, and that is writing and reflection. So take the time to think by yourself, especially youth. If you're a teenager or a young person, young adult, we need that time to think. So take that time to think. And then the M stands for mirror and move. So you want to take purposeful action, and you want to mirror your mentors. So, you want to have those people in your life that are going to help coach you, that are going to help you, guide you, and direct you, so that way you know how to go. Because the people who have the experience, you're going to be able to learn from them. So those are the 5 tips I want to leave you with. So dream, discover, read, exercise, assess, and mirror and move. Like, I don't know if you've ever read The Dream Giver by Wilkerson, but it talks about, and I used to read it to my son all the time when he was little, the way the story goes. But I know that this nobody, he was like talking about nobody and anybody and somebody. And so, this somebody thought he was nobody or something like that. And he actually had to graduate up to like this level, and he had to push through a whole bunch of stuff to get to this land of like somebody. And it was like a vision. But basically in the story, what happens is, like, after a while, he hits this like desert land, and it's such a dry place, and it's like it has all these maybe big scary things in it, and it's so tempting for that, for this person to turn around, because they went by themselves. Nobody went with them, because they were all back there, and they were like, oh, I'm nobody, I'm not going to do anything. He was in the land of nobody, I think. As he kept traveling the road, he went on, and it got scarier and scarier and scarier, and he felt, it was further away from his homeland. And so then he was tempted to turn around, and he looked back, and he was like, oh my gosh, I'm like stuck in this middle of nowhere. And, so, then it was like the dream giver starts encouraging him, keep going. And, it's like the further in the book, it's you get to a place where it's like you see this dream that is bigger than you, and it takes a village to make it come together. I remember somewhere in there, and don't quote me verbatim, but it was talking about basically if your dream is not bigger than you, then it's not your dream. So
No,
but
it makes sense, because we tend to minimize where we're at, because we don't see the bigger future that's ahead of us. And I can relate to that, because when I was younger, I didn't think that I would ever do anything with my life, because I was in a small town, South Florida. I wasn't doing good at school. I didn't think I can make it. I was a minority. Everything in the world was telling me that I would not be successful in life.
Yes.
But thankfully, my parents loved me unconditionally. But it did come to a point where I needed to do something. The only thing that I could think of was join the military, but thank God I did, because I learned a lot, and now I'm here, and I can testify to say, look, I've traveled the world, seen a lot of different things, had so many achievements. Thank God I didn't stay thinking that I could not achieve anything, or that I wasn't worth it, I wasn't smart enough. Because if I did, I wouldn't have gone to see greater things in life. It makes sense. And I appreciate that encouragement. If anybody wants to reach out to you, what website can they contact you at?
Well, they can reach me at hopereconnects.com, and that's HOPERECONNECTS.com. Hopereconnects.com. Or they can reach me on Instagram or Facebook. Just reach out to me on Instagram at Hope Reconnect, or my name, Irina Curenton, on Facebook.
Oh, very, very cool. And I always like to ask this question too, is what advice would you be able to give a younger version of you, let's say when you were 15 years old, that you know right now that you would love to have given yourself back then?
To do that, I would have to give you a little bit of background. I don't know if how much time we have, but I would have to say, because I was in a different place, and I guess that kind of gives a little bit of background for the people that some of the people that I work with. And so basically, when I was 15 years old, I was in a really, really deep, dark place, and I was, suicidal.
Mm.
And I actually used to live in Europe. Basically, it was really, really a hard place. I was, suicidal. I was just very, very deeply depressed and discouraged. I lived in an abusive environment that was like full of addiction. Basically,
Mm.
my parents were alcoholics, and my mom was recovering, and so she was like what only support really. But my stepdad was really, really abusive, and I mean, granted, at the time, he was a blackout drinker, so he didn't know what he did when he was drinking. And so it
Oh,
was just really, I felt like I was just in a place of like despair and this yeah, deep darkness. And I just felt rejected and alone, and I was really just really starved for love and acceptance. And so what I would say to my 15-year-old self at that time is that I would say, Irina, you are deeply, deeply loved. Or whoever else is listening and they're wondering if they're feeling loved, you are deeply, deeply loved. Or for guys, respected. You are deeply, deeply loved and respected. That I know it feels really, really scary right now and out of control and uncertain, and the times aren't helping. But, I know it's hard and it hurts, but at the same time, this is all temporary, and this is only for a season, and it's not always going to be like this. There will come a day where your light will shine and where you will shine brightly. And for anyone else who is not in that place, that's great. I'm so happy for you. And if you're not in that place, what I would say to you, young person, is go and build your dream. I would encourage you to take a good hard look at yourself and see what is it that you can do today to get to a different place and change your perspective to one that is like that's going to help you get to where you want to get to in life. So it's all about, there's a quote that says, it's not what happens, but it's what you do with what happens to you that matters most. And so I fully agree with that. And it's all about perspective. It's all about your attitude. It has to start with your attitude. And the reason that we seek our Lord is because that's an automatic attitude adjustment. When you get to a place of like that, seeing that there's something greater than you out there, and you can then start to trust that this entity, this being that is greater than you, has all the best in mind for you. And you can get to a place where you really, 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 really believe that 100%. That's when your life starts taking off. And you can actually start following that voice and listening to it, because it is all about, developing that love on the inside of you, no matter what a person looks like. I mean, whether they're white, black, Asian, African American, African, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it's all Bobby Petrosilli. Yes.
yeah.
He talks about you matter. And it is so true. And it's all about, that brokenness that we have as individuals. We all have that sense of brokenness because of sin and because of we're in a fallen world, and we are trying to get back to a place where we can come out of that brokenness into a kingdom. Kingdom, it's about kingdom, building the kingdom and advancing the kingdom. And so if we can do that in any way, if I can do that in any way, I would love to help you build, whatever it is that God has given you to build. So please reach out to me, reach out to Joe. Joe is a phenomenal person. He's got amazing strategies, amazing plans. I've heard him speak before. And so he's got those for you. And, he can help guide you as well. I can do the same thing. I love processes. I'm all about systems and developing things that actually help you move, kind of just move you forward. So if I'm here to help and serve in any way I can.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Irina. And thank you for coming on. I'm so thankful for you coming on. And guys, listen to her, listen to what she said. She comes from experience. She comes from experiencing God's grace, God's growth, from a background where, like she said, it wasn't the best background, but look at her now. She's thriving in God's grace and God's authority, raising 6 boys, actually 7 boys, including her husband. And I can say that because I know how husbands are. We can be big kids.
Yes.
But guys, check out her website. Check out her dream course. I highly recommend it because we need to get back to dreaming big, and she can help you dream big. And thank you again for coming on. Is there any last words for our audience that you might have, Irina?
I think just really thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time out, because if you're listening still in in this day and age, we get so distracted, and like Joe was saying, we get so distracted in everything. And if you're still listening right now, that means you really, really, really have a dream inside and you really want to do something with it. And so I would encourage you to take the steps and start reading. I would encourage you. I guess that was one, I don't want to leave without saying that. So with that, I'm so grateful to have been able to be here with you today. And thank you so much for your time.
All right, guys. And we're going to have her links on the captions on the podcast. Reach out to her, get in contact with her. Great, great, great stuff. Rewind it again, rewind it, play it back again, and take notes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Irina.
Thank you so much.